So picture this. You are standing right in the middle of a harsh, completely unforgiving desert.
Right. Not exactly a vacation spot.
No, not at all. You're
Mm.
part of this massive group of nomadic refugees, right?
Mhm.
People who have just escaped generations of slavery.
Yeah, a massive transition.
Exactly. And your current community project. You are building a perfectly functional tear-proof hazard suit, and you're interlacing it with these microscopic threads of solid gold.
Which is just wild to think about.
It is. And this suit is going to be worn inside what is essentially a highly volatile, pure energy clean room.
That's a great way to frame it.
Right. Well, welcome to the deep dive. But actually, before we take another step into all of this, I want to look right at you, the listener, and just offer a very sincere divine blessing for your day and for the week ahead.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I hope that God blesses you, guides you, and brings a profound sense of purpose and peace to whatever you are stepping into this week.
I love that. And honestly, that sense of purpose, that's exactly what we're going to be dissecting today.
Yes, absolutely. So today we are pulling from the Holman and NAA Study Bibles, and we are diving deep into Exodus chapter 39.
Which, I have to admit, can be a bit of a challenging read for some people.
Oh, totally. If you just flip open a Bible and glance at this chapter, I mean, it can easily look like this incredibly dry, ancient inventory list.
Yeah, it really reads like a meticulous ledger. It's just like so many cubits of fabric, these specific dye colors, countless bronze clasps.
Right, wooden frames, all that stuff.
Exactly, just item after item.
Which is why so many people just completely skim right past it.
Oh, they skip it entirely.
Right. But our mission today is to pause. We want to look past the sheer volume of that inventory and see what is actually happening here.
Because there is so much happening beneath the surface.
Yes. We are looking at extreme, almost unimaginably precise craftsmanship. We're going to talk about the crushing psychological weight of representing a community, and well, we're going to uncover how following a really rigid set of instructions actually transformed this group of wanderers into the architects of a literal new creation.
Yeah, when you slow down and really examine the mechanics of what these artisans were achieving, I mean, the mundane completely vanishes.
It really does.
They're engaging in this highly symbolic, deeply theological act of architecture. Every single stitch, every hammered piece of metal, it all has a profound purpose.
So let's get into that metal.
Yeah.
Because the very first thing chapter 39 focuses on is the construction of the high priest's garments.
Right, the sacred garment.
Yeah, specifically the ephod, which is like the outer garment and the breastpiece.
Yeah.
And the sources detail the base materials, right? Blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, woven with fine twisted linen.
Beautiful, very vibrant colors.
But the detail that just stopped me in my tracks was the gold.
Oh, the gold thread, yes.
I mean, I always pictured ancient clothing, especially in a nomadic desert setting, as being, somewhat primitive.
Right, like rough wool, maybe some simple faded dyes.
Exactly. But here, they are weaving solid gold into this fabric.
The metallurgical technique the text describes is just staggering, especially when you consider their environment.
Right. They don't exactly have heavy machinery out there.
No, not at all. The artisans took solid gold and they literally hammered it into paper-thin sheets.
Wow. By hand.
By hand. And then they meticulously cut those sheets into incredibly fine threads.
That is insane.
It is. And they did that so they could weave the gold directly into the colored fabric right alongside the yarn.
I'm just trying to picture the sheer physical labor of that. Pounding solid gold into a sheet thin enough to cut into thread.
It takes immense skill and patience.
It makes me think of like modern wearable technology, Or maybe the most hyper-luxurious custom haute couture you'd see on a runway today.
That's a really good analogy.
Because the gold isn't just like a bedazzled accessory glued to the outside. It is structurally integral to the garment itself.
It's part of the fabric.
Yeah. But I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Okay, go for it.
They are in a desert. They're refugees. Isn't this kind of an egregious waste of a highly valuable, finite resource? Like, why use your gold on clothes?
Well, see, that is a very natural modern reaction. We view gold primarily as financial security, right? An investment.
Right, you hoard it for an emergency.
Exactly. But in the context of the Tabernacle, you have to remember who this community is. They recently plundered the wealth of Egypt as they left.
Oh, right. The Exodus.
Yeah, and the study notes really emphasize this point. They are taking the spoils of their former captivity, the wealth of their oppressors, and they are willingly consecrating it to the divine.
Wow. Okay, that shifts things.
Right. By weaving the gold into the fabric, it signifies that their absolute best, their most valuable resources are being made foundational to their worship. They aren't hoarding it for personal wealth or power.
That completely redefines the value of the material. It's not a bank account, it's an offering.
Precisely.
And if we're talking about immense value, I mean, that brings up the stones.
Yes, the gemstones.
The high priest's garments are covered in them. And they aren't just decorative. Let's talk about the shoulder pieces first. On the ephod, there are these two onyx stones.
Right, one on each shoulder.
And the text specifies they are engraved like a signet ring with the names of the sons of Israel.
Which is very deliberate.
Yeah. And then, folded double over his chest, there is this intricate square breast piece. And it's bound to the ephod by braided gold chains and blue cords, right? So it absolutely will not come loose.
It is secured tightly, and on that breastpiece you have 12 distinct, highly valuable gemstones arranged in 4 very precise rows.
It's a massive variety, right? We're talking sardius, topaz, carbuncle,
Emerald, sapphire, diamond,
jacinth, agate, amethyst.
beryl, onyx, and jasper. Yeah, it's an unbelievable collection of precious stones to have acquired in the wilderness.
And just like the shoulder stones, every single one of those 12 gems is permanently engraved with the name of one of the 12 tribes of Israel.
Right.
I spent a lot of time thinking about the psychological impact of putting this outfit on.
Oh, it would be heavy, physically and mentally.
Exactly. You're the high priest.
Mm-hmm.
You are literally physically strapping the names of your entire community to your body before you go to work. The onyx stones are bearing down on your shoulders. The 12 gems are sitting right over your heart. So I have to ask, what is the spiritual or psychological significance of that?
Well, what you're seeing here is a brilliant portrait of mediation. It's a dual function. The high priest is the sole individual designated to stand between the people and God.
Right, he's the representative.
Exactly. So by placing the names on those heavy onyx stones on his shoulders, it visually demonstrates that he is bearing the physical burden of the people.
Like?
The weight, the responsibility. The shoulders are the place of strength, the place where you carry a heavy load.
So he is actively shouldering their burdens.
He is, but he doesn't just stop at duty.
Right, because the stones are also on his chest.
Precisely. See, duty alone, well, it can become cold, administrative, just checking boxes.
Yeah, like middle management.
Right. But by placing those 12 unique gemstones on the breastpiece, secured tightly right over his chest, he is keeping the people close to his affections, to his life, and to his heart.
Oh, wow. I love that.
It shows that true leadership and true mediation requires carrying your community with both immense strength and deep empathy. You must have the shoulder stones of duty, sure, but you absolutely need the breastpiece of love.
That is so powerful. It makes you think about your own life, you know? For you listening, think about the people you lead or the people you care for. Are you just carrying them as a burden on your shoulders, or are you also holding their unique identities close to your heart?
That is exactly the question it forces us to ask. It's a beautiful way to evaluate how we treat the people relying on us.
Absolutely. But let's pivot for a second and look at the environment this priest is actually walking into.
It's not a safe space, that's for sure.
No, because he's wearing all this representation. But underneath that outer ephod is a garment designed for pure survival.
The robe of the ephod.
Yes. The text moves from the visual representation of the people to this highly functional protective design. This robe is woven entirely of blue yarn. But the collar is what fascinated me.
Oh, the reinforced collar.
Yeah. The text notes that the woven opening was finished like a coat of mail, specifically so that it would not tear.
Right, it had to be indestructible.
When I read coat of mail and so it would not tear, I mean, it sounded less like a religious vestment and more like a modern-day astronaut spacesuit.
Or a heavy-duty hazmat suit.
Yes, a hazmat suit. It implies that stepping into the sanctuary, stepping behind that veil into the presence of the divine, it was viewed as stepping into a highly volatile, incredibly powerful environment.
Oh, without a doubt.
A torn collar wasn't just like a fashion faux pas. It was a catastrophic breach in your environmental suit. Gear failure meant death.
And the study notes make this very clear. The sacred space of the tabernacle was entirely defined by God's holiness. And we have to remember, holiness isn't just moral purity.
Wait, it's more than just being good.
It is pure, unfiltered reality, absolute power. For a flawed, mortal human to enter that space, they required a protective covering that was completely uncompromised.
So the physical integrity of the
A
garment
robe that literally cannot tear.
reflected the spiritual integrity needed to step into that presence.
Exactly.
Okay, so he has the tear-proof suit. He steps behind the thick veil into this intense, holy clean room. He is entirely alone.
Completely isolated.
Right. So if something goes wrong, how does anyone outside know? The everyday Israelites can't just throw open the curtain to check on him.
No, that would expose them to the exact same volatile holiness.
So they're just waiting. Which brings us to the hem of the robe, and I think this addresses that terrifying isolation.
It does. It absolutely does.
The text says the hem is adorned with alternating pomegranates and bells. The pomegranates are made of that blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and then there are actual bells made of pure gold.
An alternating pattern all the way around the bottom of the robe.
Yeah. And I initially wondered, is this just a glorified cowbell situation? Like, just so the other priests know what room he's in.
Right, like putting a bell on a cat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's much more profound than that, isn't it?
No, it is. It's entirely about the sensory experience of the community. Think about it. The tabernacle was heavily veiled. The everyday Israelites could not see inside.
They're locked out of the visual experience.
Right. They couldn't see the gold lampstand, the incense altar, or the Ark of the Testimony. So their entire experience of the high priest's intercession on their behalf, it was auditory.
They had to listen for him.
Yes. They had to rely on sound.
Imagine that, just standing in the dusty courtyard outside in total silence, straining your ears toward this tent.
It would be incredibly tense. But the bells provided auditory proof of life and movement.
Ah, proof of life.
When the high priest went into the holy place to minister, the sound of those gold bells ringing against the soft yarn pomegranates, that sound let the community outside know that their representative was alive.
That he was still moving.
Moving and actively accepted by God. If the bells stopped ringing for too long, well, it meant something had gone terribly wrong.
The mediator had failed.
Exactly. So the sound of those bells, it was the sound of immense comfort and assurance to the people waiting outside. Every little chime was a relief.
Every single step he takes is a literal reassurance to his community that they are still in good standing. That is amazing.
It's beautiful design.
And then we reach the climax of the garments, the final piece placed on the priest, the plate of the sacred crown.
Right, made of pure gold and tied to his turban with a blue cord.
And it features this permanent signet-style engraving, "Holy to the Lord." I mean, putting a solid gold plate with those words right on your forehead, that is a massive ego check.
It really is. And the study Bibles emphasize this specific engraving as the ultimate thematic stamp on the entire Tabernacle project.
Because it's front and center.
Placed right on the most visible point of the most important person. It serves to remind everyone, the high priest himself, the master artisans who made it, and all the people watching.
None of this is about them.
Exactly. Every single ounce of thread, every hammered sheet of gold, and every hour of effort ultimately belonged entirely to God. It is the absolute antithesis of human ego.
They didn't build this to make a name for themselves.
No. They built it to consecrate themselves to the divine.
So the priest is fully outfitted. The crowning piece is complete. And at this point in chapter 39, the narrative kind of pans out, right?
Yes, the lens widens.
We move from this micro project, these incredibly complex garments, to the grand presentation of the macro project, the tabernacle itself.
All the separate pieces are finally finished.
The moment of ultimate assembly and inspection. And what a dramatic moment it is. The Israelites bring the entire dismantled tabernacle to Moses for inspection.
The list in the text is just sweeping.
It is. It lists everything in detail. The tent, the clasps, the frames, the crossbars, the pillars, the bases.
The specific layered coverings, too. The ram skins dyed red, the fine leather hides, the woven veil.
Not to mention all the sacred furniture. The Ark of the Testimony with its poles, the table with the showbread, the pure gold lampstand, the altars, the anointing oil, the incense. It is this massive, sprawling inventory of holy objects spread out before Moses.
It's breathtaking to imagine, and throughout this entire sweeping presentation, there is a defining textual repetition that the study notes heavily emphasize.
Right. It repeats like a drumbeat.
Yes. What was the phrase?
Just as the Lord commanded Moses, so they did. Over and over again. Now, I have to admit, I marvel at the sheer discipline required for this, but I also find it a bit jarring.
Jarring? How so?
Well, think about it. You have highly skilled artisans, right? People capable of hammering gold into microscopic thread and engraving tiny text on hard gemstones.
True artists.
Right.
And naturally, artists want to express themselves. They want to leave their mark. But here, it's like this massive community-wide IKEA furniture build where, for once in all of human history, absolutely nobody took creative liberties.
Huh. That's true. No leftover parts.
Nobody skipped the step in the instruction manual or decided, hey, I know a cuter way to carve these bronze bases.
They entirely subdued their artistic autonomy to follow the divine blueprint.
Which is wild to me. Why is the text so obsessively repetitive about them doing it exactly as commanded? Like, why is there absolutely zero room for these brilliant artisans to improvise or add their own flair? Doesn't that stifle the very creativity they were gifted with?
I get that. It seems very stifling to a modern mind, right? We worship individual expression.
We really do.
But this raises a crucial theological point, and the study nights draw a really profound connection here to the book of Genesis.
Okay, Genesis, walk me through that connection.
Well, to understand the obsessive exactness of the tabernacle, you have to understand the creation of the world.
Think about the repeated phrase, as the Lord commanded, followed by Moses inspecting the finished work and offering a blessing. That deliberately mirrors the language and rhythm of Genesis chapters 1 and 2.
Oh, wait.
Think about the creation narrative. God speaks, and the world is formed exactly as he commands. Then God views the work, sees that it is good, and then God pronounces a blessing over it.
Oh, wow. I never caught that parallel. Moses is acting out that exact sequence.
He is. Moses finishes overseeing the tabernacle. He inspects this vast array of finished pieces, sees that it has been done in perfect accordance with the divine will.
Just like God seeing the creation was good.
Exactly. And then he blesses the people. The tabernacle isn't just a fancy tent for a nomadic tribe. It is meant to be a restored micro-Eden.
A micro-Eden, just a little pocket of paradise in the middle of a barren desert.
Yes. Eden was the original space where perfect order existed and where God and humanity could safely interact without any barriers. But humanity rebelled, asserted their own will, and lost that space.
They wanted to do it their way.
Right. So the tabernacle is the creation of a new, ordered space where God's presence can safely dwell among humanity again. But for it to function as a new Eden, it requires exact, perfect obedience. That is why there is absolutely no room for improvisation. In this specific context, improvisation would be a return to the rebellion and self-assertion that lost them Eden in the first place.
Oh, wow. That completely shifts the perspective. By strictly following the instructions, they aren't being mindless drones. They are literally rebuilding paradise.
Exactly.
They're proving, finally, that humanity can cooperate with divine order without trying to hijack the project for themselves.
It's an act of deep humility, and the study notes highlight a really powerful historical irony in this moment of blessing at the end of chapter 39.
Oh, the contrast with Pharaoh.
Yes. If you rewind earlier in the book of Exodus, during the terrifying night of the final plague, the oppressive, supposedly godlike Pharaoh is completely broken.
Right.
And he actually begs Moses for a blessing. He says, go serve the Lord and bless me also.
The most powerful man in the world, begging.
But here, at the end of the tabernacle construction, it isn't an arrogant dictator who receives the blessing. It is the faithful, hardworking, obedient artisans and workers. The ones who submitted their skills to God are the ones who receive the true blessing.
It's the ultimate reversal of fortunes. The marginalized former slave builders become the blessed architects of a new creation.
It's a beautiful narrative arc.
It really is. Which honestly forces us to synthesize all of this and ask, what does this actually mean for us listening to this today?
Well, think about the culture we live in. We live in a modern culture whose unspoken motto is often, move fast and break things.
So definitely disrupt everything.
Right. We prize disruption, quick fixes, and loud individual expression above all else. But the meticulous, obedient nature of the tabernacle challenges that deeply.
It asks us to slow down.
It asks you to consider the immense value of deep, careful devotion. It asks you what it truly means to carry the names of your own community on your shoulders with strength and over your heart with empathy. It reminds you that sometimes the most profound and world-changing thing you can do is simply follow the instructions laid out for you with exactness and care, recognizing that your ultimate purpose isn't to build your own brand. It's to be holy to the Lord.
It really is about building something that lasts rather than something that's just loud.
Absolutely.
Which leaves you, the listener, with a final lingering thought to mull over as you go about your week.
And it's a big one.
We've talked extensively about this massive presentation of all the separate, intricate parts of the tabernacle coming together to form a micro-Eden. So I want you to think about your own life.
Oh, the pieces of it.
Right. If all the separate, intricate parts of your life, your work, your relationships, your daily routines, your private habits, your hidden thoughts, if they were suddenly dismantled and laid out for inspection right now, what grand structure would they build?
Would they fit together?
Exactly. Would they reflect a chaotic, self-serving improvisation? Or would they reveal a purposeful, devoted design?
That is the ultimate question the tabernacle asks of anyone who studies it. It really makes you look inward.
It really is a mirror for our own lives. Well, thank you so much for taking this deep dive into Exodus 39 with us today. We hope exploring this ancient text brought some new perspective and maybe a little bit of that woven gold into your world. Goodbye for now, and truly God blesses all the listeners.